The RPG After Years is part of the We Can Make This Work Probably network. Find out more at probablywork.com.
Do you like video games? Ever thought about making a video game? Do you find that a week or 2 weeks is kind of short for a game jam? Well, have I got the game jam for you with the We Can Make This Work Probably Game Jam. The jam runs from April 20th to June 9th to provide a nice amount of time for you to make something cool. And the theme is, if you can smell that fart, you're not far enough apart. Shout out to the Lebanon, Maine Fire Department for this meme. Check out the link in the description for more information and to figure out how to join and submit. Have fun!
Welcome to the RPG After Years, your weekly show covering all things RPGs from the past, present, and future. This is episode 15, and I'm Scott.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Rich.
Today, we will be doing part 3 of our Final Fantasy VII Remake review. We'll be covering the last part of the story, which includes everything that happens at the Shinra Building, the escape from Midgar, and all that crazy twist shit that happens at the end. So, look forward to that. Before we do that and jump back into the review, let's have our weekly catch-up. So what have we been up to? We'll start with you, Jay.
Well, men, my two favorite boys. Not much. So I got another promotion at work, and this is more of an actual title promotion, not just a role promotion.
If anything's worth that, other than beating a game, it's something like that.
Well, thank you very much. So my responsibilities aren't changing at all. So previously, I was technically just like a mid-level software engineer that was doing the technical lead role, because like a technical lead isn't an actual position at my company. It's just something like a group of responsibilities. And our performance reviews came around, and they officially bumped me up to the senior software engineer.
That's awesome, man.
The next level from that's like architect or something I don't necessarily want to do. But so that was really cool. But it also kind of motivated me to start trying to get some certifications in AWS, which is where most of my work does their web services. So I spent way too much time doing like hours and hours of coursework for that. So I prioritize that over video gaming. Yeah, but I was able to fit in a little bit of Asperia, in which so it's been a while since I played it, long enough to where I don't remember where in the map I was at. So I just picked it up and started playing it and accidentally completely backtracked out of the forest to the beginning. And Oops. So I'm like, dang it. And I did accidentally save because I saw a save spot, and I thought I was going the right way, but I wasn't. So I have to, suck it up and backtrack all the way through, run away from everything.
Womp womp.
Yeah, but I also have played a little bit of Zestria, not too much more of that. I did start, and I am climbing up the wall to go all up in the Shinra Building in the 7 Classic.
So you got a healthy amount of that in a few hours.
Yep.
A couple hours.
And
I forget
that-
how long it takes exactly.
And I actually am doing everything that I know to do. Usually whenever I play through 7, I just hightail it through it.
Nice.
But I have turned off random encounters. So, because I'm not playing it. I'm playing it for the story.
You haven't had any problems with the bosses without leveling up?
Not at all. I haven't even had to use the like the full, like the other cheat codes that come with the Switch, where you can max out your health and stuff, or completely heal yourself and max
fill up your limit breaks.
Yeah, I haven't had to use that at all, so it's been peachy.
We'll see how that continues.
Yeah, I will.
My prediction is you'll eventually get to a boss you can't beat and then drop it.
My prediction is that I put it in 3 times speed and then grind.
Oh,
There you go.
Smart.
And then I also started a little bit of FF2. I downloaded that on my phone because it was like $3.
What made you decide to do that?
I just looked up Final Fantasy games on my iPhone. I was like, which one do I want to get? And 2 was really cheap and 1 sucks. So I went with 2.
Maybe that'll motivate me to actually finish 1 and start 2.
Oh, you should. I'm down with playing it and reviewing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this necessarily constitutes as me playing a game, but I did download a bunch of random games for Gracie on her DS, including like a Monster High School thing and like Nintendogs, and like this fashion style savvy game. And I played a little bit with her to like help her get her bearings on it.
I've heard that style savvy game is like surprisingly good, like for people that actually played it.
That's fun. That's funny. She doesn't necessarily like it because she can't read yet, and the Monster High School game actually has some voice acting, and so she's really into that one. I ended up letting her stay up until like 10:30 last night playing it, and she's probably downstairs playing it right now.
What about Nintendogs? Did you see what that was like at all?
She likes it enough to go to it every now and then, I imagine.
Yeah,
but
I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't done another one of those in the past like 5 years or something.
Yeah, they were always a crazy hit, and I feel like they would be really good on the Switch. But
maybe
the Switch does have touchscreen, right? Like I swear I've touched my screen and it did stuff.
It does. It's just like no developers ever actually utilize it.
Yeah, so I don't know.
A lot of people forget that it has it, including myself.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it for me.
Well, congrats on your promotion. As you know, I too, my title's like senior software consultant. But the way I got that was my boss was getting us new business cards, and he was like, "What do you want it to say?" So
that's funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about you, Rich? What you been doing, my man?
Well, I have played a little bit of Final Fantasy Adventure, which has sparked a few people to pick that thing up. We jumped a little ahead on the list in the golden years. Oops.
Everybody got excited about that in the Discord for some reason.
I don't know why. I was like, you know what? I just want to try a mana game. So I was just popped it up. I know it was on the list, but I was like,
Everybody was like, roll up their sleeves. Well, let's do this.
Is it any good?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a Game Boy game, and I'm halfway done with it. I mean, it's not challenging. It's not overly complicated.
And it was actually...
What are you playing? What are you playing it on?
Switch.
In the Mana collection, right? Because it was actually a Mana game, and they just retitled it for America.
Yep. So, Jay, there you go.
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Is it like a buttload of money if I go and buy that collection of Mana?
I don't know. I'll have to look at it. It's probably like $30, if that.
I think it is cheaper than a full price game.
My pearls.
I think so.
You just got a promotion. You can.
Yeah, you can afford that.
Hey, something about rich people being frugal.
Yeah, tell me about that. But you're rich in video games.
Yeah,
if you buy those.
Good point.
So, but anyways, I played that, and then I went to FF1.
You're kidding.
again. I did. I know. I'm trying to fit. Okay.
Oh wait, you started over again, didn't you?
I did because I don't know where the fuck I am in that game. So I was like, you know what? Just fine. Screw it. I'll start over. It's
Isn't
not that bad.
The second time you've restarted it? I thought so.
Eventually I'll get through it. But I did the Mage has Gone Wild. I picked the red mage, 2 white mages, and a black mage. I named it after all of us.
I think you can probably beat the game with that setup.
I should be able to.
It's not going to be as easy as like having a
Hold on.
fighter.
Which one am I?
Hang on. I'll find out. I think I put you as a black mage, Jay.
Okay.
I think
that's right.
As long as I'm not the white mage.
I think it.
I'm one of the white
I could
mages.
be wrong. Hang on.
I remember.
Yeah, you're the black mage. Scott is a white mage. Bill's a white mage. I'm a red mage.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the Mages
Nice.
Gone Wild, I would have said you should have done it like our album art, because each one of us is one of those silhouettes.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then my plan is, if I can beat this one, I can go in and play FF2 with you guys.
that'd be fun. Maybe that could be
try that.
our next like big official.
I bet we could all beat it within like a week. I'm pretty sure
Possibly.
it's a pretty short game if I remember.
I've never
correctly.
played it. I mean, I know the
Yeah.
plot and everything, but
Star Wars?
yeah,
That's what it is.
basically.
So there's that. And then I've picked up 14 again, Final Fantasy 14.
I thought
I feel like you pick it up every week.
I know. I don't know why.
it's
I
like
just logged in and played it.
he cancels his subscription for 1 week at a time, and then
To be fair, like a month. And I got the itch, and I was like, I'm going to go play that a little bit. So it's kind of mind numbing. I'm still in the very beginning of the game of the first expansion. So I don't know it's so boring.
yeah,
So I'm hoping to get to the second part of the second expansion at some point before I cancel my subscription again.
you mean the first
I,
expansion?
Yeah, the first expansion.
I one of these days I'll play it. Hopefully before they completely take down the servers. But
I mean, they're still
I have
running
two-
11, so
I have
Yeah.
2 things that I have to buy before I can do that: a decent gaming computer and a chair to go in front of my desk that isn't like a $50 Walmart chair.
yeah.
I just have a laptop. I just go on my couch with this thing. It works out pretty well.
So I'm pretty sure my Mac would like just burn holes into whatever. It cannot handle video game anything.
Probably. But that's all I've done. What about you, Scott?
I really need to get some kind of better desk set up too. Like, I kind of like by the time I finish these podcasts, my back is like killing because I'm like hunched forward into the mic and
Autonomous, like the autonomous desks, just forfeit a handful of hundreds of dollars and buy one of these. I have the home edition, and it's really solid. It's a standing one, automatic. You press a button and it lifts up. And
I'm going to ask you more about that after that because I'm like in the market for a new desk, kind of.
well, sir, I'm about to go send you a link.
Cool. I actually did look into Fit Desks this week, which is like it's like a desk, but it has like bike pedals attached to it. So it's like burn calories kind of passively while you're working or whatever. But they were like $500, and Corey talked me out of it. He's like, you don't know how much longer the quarantine's going to be. And then I was like, well, but I'll have it for when I get a remote job. And he was like, they might have a better fit desk by then. So he talked me out of it.
I just sent you a link. It's the Smart Desk 2 home office. I have the white one, but it's solid.
Okay.
It's super good.
I'll look into that. Thanks. As for what I've been playing, more Ring Fit Adventure, still doing that twice a week, as always. I beat World 14. No, I'm either in World 14 or I beat World 14. It's the Foggy World.
Do you have a physical copy of that?
Yes.
You should go sell it for $1,400.
Is that
Make
really
a
how much
huge
they're
profit?
Really? Wait, it's going for that much?
I'm pretty sure it's people trolling, but like physical copies of that game with the little fit wheel thing is ridiculous right
Even
now.
used?
Everywhere I have searched has been like marked up tenfold, and I will not buy it.
Wow.
It's cheaper to buy it digitally and then buy the fit ring thing separately.
I might actually look into that. I really do love Ring Fit Adventure, but for $1,400, I think I can go back to my runs. I also been playing Animal Crossing. I made like 6 million bells off turnips this week. So that was awesome. But I'm actually like kind of running out of things to do that are interesting for now anyway. So I'm finally starting to get burned out on it. So I don't know if I'm going to be playing that daily for too much longer. But I mean, I got the achievement for playing for 50 days yesterday. So I'd say that I got my entertainment value out of it.
Whoa.
Yeah. We played some more Persona 5 Royal. Last night we got into Mementos for the first time. And sort of explored that a little bit. We haven't got like the next big target yet, but
I feel like Mementos is a weird place. I didn't really like the gameplay in there.
Yeah.
We had to like drive around the bus.
Mm-hmm. I heard, I've actually heard before that a lot of people don't enjoy Mementos. It's kind of ugly and like nothing really happens there. But for the first time, I didn't hate it. But I suspect that it's going to make you go back there all the time. So
yes, you remember my buddy Andrew?
Yes,
he is really into Persona 5. Like he's beaten it 3 times, and he's playing through it again right now.
Wow!
And he's on his second playthrough of the this Royal Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Is that and he was telling me that they added a whole new section of Mementos and added a new palace and all the crap that they've added.
I knew there was a new palace, but I didn't know about the Mementos expansion. But from what I've heard, a lot of people thought it was already big enough.
Yeah.
And then also been continuing my hard mode playthrough of 7 Remake. We finished Chapter 9, the Wall Market chapter, was the last place we did. I was really disappointed, though, because I got the same dress for Aerith again, which means I'm going to have to replay Chapter 5 another time to get that trophy, which will mean I'll have played through Chapter 5 4 times to get that trophy, which that kind of sucks. I kind of wish that wasn't even a trophy, but I almost quit again. The Hell House kicked my ass. I could not beat him. I had to solicit strategies from people on Twitter before I finally
Did you throw a bio on it or poison?
That was what I finally ended up doing. That it helped a lot. I think it was who was it? I think it was Abrak. He told me that use poison on it, put fire elemental in your armor. If you use any spells on it, use the level 1 spell, because you're not trying to do damage with your spells. You're just trying to stagger it and exploit that changing weakness. There was probably a couple other things, but even after he told me that, I had to go a couple more times because I wasn't thinking about how you can't recover MP in the Colosseum, and once you're in the Colosseum, you're kind of stuck there. So that sucked. I was getting really mad, but in the end, I overcame, I conquered. But yeah, that's been about it for what we are playing. Any other updates you guys want to put out there before we move on?
Nope. Still surviving the lockdown. But I think, Rich, you're all your state's opening up, right?
Yep, we're done. We're opened up.
You're done in more than one ways, but yes.
Yeah, we're opened up. Restaurants are getting back to normal to an extent of 10 people or maybe a little bit more. It was a little surprising to see, I went to my gym, and my gym only has 8 or 9 people that's in it at a time, usually, maybe less. It's right next to a Mexican restaurant. So when I went there on Tuesday, oh my God, the Mexican restaurant was packed.
Oh my God. They're not even doing because I think we've started to open back up too, but there's still some social distancing rules for restaurants.
I'm sure there's supposed to be. Yeah, they're supposed to be. But come on, Cinco de Mayo, it's the biggest holiday. People will risk it for booze.
Yeah.
And salsa.
We had tacos and tequila on Cinco de Mayo at home, so it was nice.
Yeah.
I did go get a haircut Friday.
You are part of the problem.
Well, listen, I texted her because I knew she didn't want to open back up as soon as she did, but she was like, well, I got to keep my business afloat. She wore a mask. They're requiring people to wear masks. They don't let you bring any of your family in, and they like make you wash your hands when you get in there. And she, like, between clients, like, cleans everything in her little salon. So I felt like that was okay.
Yeah. Overall, I'm pretty okay with everything opening up as long as people are being safe and following guidelines.
Yeah.
Like, don't be disgusting creatures. Clean up.
And my sideburns were starting to look more like mutton chops, so it was desperately needed.
Nope. You should grow those. Just grow it out.
You should only grow those.
Oh, okay.
Cut everything else.
That would be amazing, I think. Anyway, let's move on here. Okay, save state of the podcast. Rich, why don't you tell us about the Patreon?
Yeah, definitely. So Patreon, we still have that awesome Patreon out there. You get early access to episodes ad-free. You can participate in live video versions, which we are doing right now.
We're live.
I think we're live. Yes.
Yep.
Aftercast, and which is where we go through and pick a topic that's really near and dear to our hearts and just have a big old conversation about it. Extra reviews and more.
And speaking of more, we don't talk about this every week, but there are some long-term benefits. If you are in the $10 or higher tiers and have been doing that for at least 3 months, there are some special benefits you get. So you could be a co-host on one of our episodes. We also send out an annual physical gift. It's different every year, but once we're ready for that, we'll reveal what that is. You have the option to haste a game, which basically means make Bill and Rich play a list game, a Golden Years list game, sooner than they would have otherwise. And then if you're on our highest tier, the $25 Super Boss tier, there's a benefit called Bill and Rich's Infinite Playlist, which basically means you can make them play any game you want. It doesn't have to be on the list. There's also Hastka, which means you can, advance a list game twice a year rather than just once. And then there's also Scott and Jay Go Gold, which means you can force Jay and I to join Bill and Rich on a list game.
Love it.
So I think we only have one person who has qualified for this so far, and I bet you guys can guess who that person is.
The goddess.
But we have one or two other people that are on the way there. So so thanks, Disa, for your patronage, and I'll be in touch with you to let you know what we need from you. And there is one more thing we got to do. It's time for another monthly raffle.
Woohoo!
Okay. Ready for the monthly raffle, fellas?
Do it.
Drum roll. It is Brody. So thank you very much, Brody, for your patronage, and I will be in contact with you to see what you would like us to send you. Monthly raffle winners have the option between like a $10 gift card or show merch, swag. So yeah. Once again, thanks. And one more reminder, you want to cover the material lockdown, Jay?
Oh, yes. So we all know Final Fantasy VII is kind of a hot topic right now. We got the remake with the nice looking graphics and the fun gameplay and the good English translations. But let's not forget where it started, guys. The material lockdown is going on right now. That is a nice little kind of a meta layer that video game that we throw on top of Final Fantasy VII, where basically you are restricted to specific materia for specific characters. We have a Twitter bot involved. We have a cool looking website, thanks to Mr. Scott here.
I got you.
But you can, that is going until what? I don't know. We should start putting dates. June 2nd?
Yeah.
June 2nd. So there is still time. Final Fantasy VII is a pretty short game for the most part. So go ahead, go to materiallockdown.com for more information and sign up and play along with those that are playing.
Could you imagine if you were doing a lockdown with your no random encounters challenge? I think that would probably be impossible.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Maybe.
can you use the other cheats, or is it just no random encounter?
No cheats. Anyway, let's head on to the news.
Hear ye, gather round for all your news. Stop your clatter and listen close. Alas, you won't believe your ears. Listen close for the news.
All right, so the main thing that happened this week is the Summer Games Fest done by Jeff Keighley. That kicked off with the Inside Xbox show, which is basically sort of like it was sort of like an E3 conference almost from Xbox. But the main thing is they revealed some of the Xbox Series X games and gameplay for the first time, basically. So there was a couple things relevant to RPGs here. So we'll let the main thing everybody was excited about was Assassin's Creed. So I'll let Jay talk about that a little bit.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer. So I'm going to start off by saying I am not overly impressed by this trailer, and I don't know why people were kind of freaking out about this. So at this this reveal, it was a very short clip where we saw some in-game footage of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but it looked like it was still just cutscenes, in which case I'm not quite sure how this was a reveal to any kind of next-gen technology.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, like, somebody needs to... Apparently, Microsoft is redefining what gameplay footage means.
Yeah. So with the release of the footage, they were saying how the devs were saying how they're excited for the next-gen consoles because it is improving on the ability to have higher performance with open world or larger assets. And I'm just not seeing it in this trailer. It just looks like a PlayStation 4 or, this current gen game trailer with cutscenes. And I also saw something similar that was for another game where this is where they were like, oh, the Xbox 360 or Xbox, the Sexbox, whatever, has like this crazy good hard drive that can render like asset load in the blink of an eye, but it was showcasing that with a CGI cutscene, and I'm just like, I'm not going to believe any of this.
Yeah,
so far I haven't seen anything that impresses me about any of the next gen stuff.
Well, the main thing with these new systems is like what the solid state drive that's supposed to supposedly eliminate loading.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. I agree with you. I don't think any of the games like looked very much better than games that we already have on our current consoles. But to be honest, I wasn't really expecting them to, based on what I've heard. And I think just in general, this next gen, these consoles, a lot of people are not like super excited about them compared to usual. I think Sony and Microsoft has sort of done a shit job of hyping it up this time, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't think there's I feel like the ceiling isn't that high for console gaming or just gaming in general. I don't know. I feel like we are so close to the peak, and
yeah,
I just don't see, like, the past 10 years have been a pretty crazy advancement, but I just don't see that continuing.
Right. There was one guy who was one of the presenters for the stream, and in the background he had a large black refrigerator, and it had like the Xbox symbol decal on it, so it looked like just a giant Series X. And I was like, is that the actual size?
Yeah, it will be.
So, yeah, that's it for Assassin's Creed. But another game that was revealed relevant to RPGs during this conference was Scarlet Nexus. And as soon as Corey and I watched this, we were both like, that's just Astral Chain. It looks almost exactly like the same art style. It's a very anime, like futuristic, weird demon monsters you're fighting. Of course, it's on a more powerful system, so it does look a lot better than Astral Chain did.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Who knows whether we were seeing gameplay of it or not. But it's by Bandai Namco America, and apparently the theme song will be by the Japanese band the Oral Cigarettes. What other kinds of cigarettes are there? Maybe I don't want to know the answer to that question.
No, I don't think you do.
They're butt cigarettes.
Did you guys watch the trailer for this?
I have not, but I'm looking at the screenshots and it looks like a pretty fun game. I'll probably play it.
Yeah, Astral Chain was pretty good overall. So I think as long as this gets good reviews, and I'll probably pick it up. Well, I don't know if it's exclusive or not. I don't think I'm going to be getting a Series X for a long time, if ever, but we'll see. So
I like how the gameplay looks pretty smooth. One thing I don't necessarily like about some JRPGs is that the gameplay just isn't smooth.
Yeah, it's true. Real quick before I forget, pretty much every game that they showed, they confirmed will have smart delivery, which is basically their hype phrase for if you buy it on the Xbox One, then you can get the Series X version when and if you pick up a Series X. So that's really cool, and I think that's a really awesome move on Microsoft's part. Sony has not confirmed anything like that, but I feel like that's going to put a lot of pressure on them to do so.
Yeah.
Of course, Sony loves their money, so who knows? Anyway, that's about it relevant to RPGs from the Inside Xbox conference. My most exciting game that I saw there was called Medium. It's a horror game that looked like really good graphics. It's from the same people that did Layers of Fear and Blair Witch, which I also enjoyed. I love horror games, so that's the one I'm going to be keeping the closest eye on.
Rich, I have a question. Have you ever built a character in Skyrim or Oblivion or even The Sims and just thought, my guy does not have a big enough ball sack?
Like all the time.
All the time.
Like 90% of the time, that's what I'm thinking in my head.
Well, Cyberpunk 2077 has the cure to your ailment. So not too long ago, I think this past week, the Australia rating came back for Cyberpunk 2077, and it was slapped with like the highest adult content that you can, and it specifically called out that you can customize the genitals and genitalia of your character. So I'm assuming that means you can throw on some tiggle bitties and a big booty and like a big old package, make it look like somebody's stuffed some tube socks down in their pants.
I'm totally maxing that out.
I think most people will be, probably.
I want that to be a distraction. So when I go on stealth missions, that's all you see. Just that poking out of corners and stuff.
So one of the main gimmicks of Cyberpunk is you can customize your body with like robotic enhancements, right? So I wonder if it means like you just customize your balls from the beginning, or if you buy like the new bigger and better penis.
I want a laser beam.
That's what I was about to say. It's they are cybernetic balls, and it completely changes what comes out.
Sweet.
Wow. Maybe
it's tactical.
Maybe I'll have to mark this episode adults only.
This is definitely opening itself up to some pretty crazy fan stories.
Have they confirmed if they're going to be doing any kind of like multiplayer functionality in this game?
I've heard not. I actually have heard that because of this same Australia rating, the way that Australia does its rating is that even if there is DLC, it's considered in-game purchases. And Cyberpunk was marked as having in-game purchases, and it made a lot of people think that meant microtransactions. And CD Projekt Red came out and said that this is a single-player game and will not have microtransactions. That only DLC is in-paid content.
I was just thinking if there was some kind of online mode, you would probably just see everybody with just like huge schlongs.
Yeah.
You jousting.
Yeah. Didn't they also confirm with Cyberpunk that you can have sex with other people?
I haven't heard that, but I'm in for it.
I might be making that up, but it makes me wonder if there might be finally some gay sex in a game.
You haven't played enough Mass Effect then.
I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, Mass Effect has that.
That's true. I do need to play Mass Effect. Anyway, I think that's it for the Cyberpunk dick and balls, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about RPG releases. Nothing in the past week. Not a thing.
Slow week.
Yeah. So it is what it is. This coming week, we have May 21st, next Thursday from the release here, Spirit Hunter NG on the Switch.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. So if you know what it is, great. You're excited probably. We do have one honorable mention. I don't know if we talked about this one. Xenoblade Chronicle.
Yes.
It's the definitive is being released at the end of the month. So that's something that's coming out, I think, May 29th.
Yep. And I'll be picking it up.
Yeah, I will too. I got the special one. Are you getting the special one?
I haven't pre-ordered yet. What's the special one come with?
I think it's like a art book and a few other things too. It's only like $20 more. So
I've gotten to the point to where I only do the special editions now. If it's either something that I'm like really, really super hyped for, or if it comes with a steelbook. So
I think it does come with a steelbook. I have to look at it.
If it does, I'll probably go ahead and do that because I'm pretty much over art books at this point. Every fucking game it comes with an art book, and it's like just a little space taker upper.
It's just it's like all the scraps from the art sections of the game developers. It's like everybody get all the pictures out of your trash can. We need a book.
Right. That's basically how I imagine it goes. But yeah, that's it for that. So before we get back to the review, let's take a quick break.
I'm Troy.
And I'm MC.
And we host the best animated shows ever so far.
Where we watch, discuss, and rank every animated show ever. Eventually.
Listen in by searching for the best animated shows ever so far on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or head to probablywork.com.
Join the conversation by finding us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram by searching Base SFcast. That's BASESFCAST.
And don't change the channel.
Alright guys, we are back. Time for part 3 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake review. Today we're going to finish off the story. Alrighty, so where we left off, Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett had basically finished their ascent up to the plate to storm the Shinra Building and save Aerith. So Chapter 16, The Belly of the Beast, begins right outside the Shinra Building. And before I move on, if you're not smart enough to know that the episode is going to have plenty of spoilers, we will be talking about the ending and all that, and maybe even some theories. But so yeah, spoiler alert, have fun, sign off now if for some reason you do not want those spoilers. So yeah, you get into the Shinra Building a little bit differently than in the original game. You have to go through a parking lot first, right? So you sort of go through like this underground parking garage, and right from the get-go, you start running into Shinra infantrymen and fighting all them and making your way through the garage. So at this point, I was like, wow, we gave ourselves up a little earlier than in the OG, but that gets explained later. how people, the Cloud and all of them are not immediately like captured and all that. You guys got anything to say about the parking lot section? Yeah, nothing really happens there.
It was boring.
Yeah.
Although, this is where, when I was trying to level up for my hard mode playthrough, this is where I grinded. You can like just rush through the parking lot in like 5 or 10 minutes and get a shit ton of experience in AP. So if anybody's looking for a farming spot, that's where I would recommend, unless you're good enough to pass the Shinra simulator battles, which I was not at the time.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. So eventually you make it out of the parking garage and into the main lobby, which is for some reason completely deserted. Basically, and it looks cool. They recreated the whole like lobby of the Shinra Building really well, I thought. The first thing, if I remember right, you have to do here is you go into the museum, which has like all of Shinra's various vehicles and stuff. Is this where you see the picture of 10-2 Shinra? Like the original founders? Or is that
I'm not sure. I think it might be at this time, or it might be, it's either now or whenever you're given the tour. I can't quite remember.
Right. So basically we'll go ahead and talk about that. If you're paying attention to detail, there's like a framed photo of like the founders of Shinra, and in the middle there's a guy wearing a mask that looks very similar to the mask the character Shinra wears in Final Fantasy X-2. So it's just a cool callback to the whole like theory that I suppose is officially canon now, if it wasn't already, that the X-2 Shinra was the founder of the 7 Shinra company, although the 7 world takes place on like a different planet. So I guess the Albed figured out space travel at some point.
I find that a little funny that they, like with this now canon story, there was space travel, yet I don't feel like the Midgar technology is quite space travel material.
Well, there's a whole like a plot line behind that with Sid, right? That they tried and failed. So at some point they lost the technology, I guess. Shame. Anyway, I think here you have to play as Tifa and cross a bunch of monkey bars in order to like get the switch that lets you move on. I like this part. Moving across the monkey bars was a little cumbersome, but like you got to see lots of Tifa, and in general, I just like how they really emphasized Tifa's athleticism in this remake.
Yeah, I like that too. But one thing that kind of annoys me about this game is like all the obvious, and it's probably just a video game thing, but there were so many times where it's like, okay, so you could literally just reach around this bigger block and grab the bars instead of having to go all the way around.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think you can get Tifa's final weapon here as well if you like sort of take a side path, but that's not to do with the story. Anyway, you get to the switch, and I think basically this is where you sort of go into the tour, right? Basically, you go on a guided tour that's meant for the public, where Shinra just sort of like talks about its history and like what Shinra's goal is in the world. You see this, you get introduced to each of the staff members of Shinra. Even Hojo's like part where it's like Hojo's speech to the public about the science department. He's still an asshole there. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he basically just says, "You guys are all too dumb to understand what I do. I'm going back to work."
Yeah.
Yep.
They let Hojo get away with a lot as a employee, but
probably because he has so much dirt on everybody.
Yeah, there is a part of Before Crisis where Hojo tries to leave the company, and Shinra like sends Sephiroth after him to bring him back. So I think that you go into this one room that's like a big hologram, and you get this presentation on Neo Midgar and the Ancients and what happened to the Ancients, and how Shinra is just trying to continue what the goals of the Cetra were. Basically like a really bad just spin on what they're trying to do, but of course it's Shinra. What else? Is there any other part of the tour that I'm forgetting? I felt like it was a little longer than I'm remembering, but
you gotta mention a little bit about the how that virtual thing ended.
Remind me.
The Sephiroth, the meteor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I guess that was the Sephiroth from the future that's fucking with the timeline that we think, probably.
Yeah, it was. It like goes from like this, like the flashback to the Cetra and stuff to like Midgar, and then to the meteor coming down, and it like freaks everybody out, and
Right.
it kind of glitches out, and you can tell that it's like not necessarily supposed to be showing this.
No.
I think when this happened, I was already starting to like get suspicious that they were trying to do something as far as like fuck with the plot a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so you get out of there. I think the next part is where you meet Mayor Domino. So basically, his deputy mayor Hart, he like leads you through like this giant library floor, which is really cool. It's playing like some almost creepy like classical music. He leads you to the Mayor Domino, who has like his own like little setup on this floor, and it's like a secret room, right? Because doesn't Hart pull like a book off the shelf or something? Am I remembering that right?
I don't think so. No.
I must have played another game with a secret book door recently. Anyway, so you meet the mayor, and it's a little different this time because in the OG, although the mayor was against Shinra and like sort of sabotaging them, this time he's actually a plant by Mother Avalanche, which I thought was a cool twist. And basically he tells you that the reason since you entered the building that you haven't been like immediately captured and hunted down and stuff is because he's been fucking with like the camera footage and the security alerts to basically let them slip through unimpeded. So that isn't this also where you learn that Wedge is active again?
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he like randomly shows up, doesn't he?
He either shows up or he's like on a video call, if I remember right.
Yeah, something. I can't remember either because he had this is where they learn like, hey, do what you need to do and get to the roof. I called in a favor by asking Mother Avalanche really nicely.
Right.
Oh, that's because they're assaulting the first part of the building. Like they're there. He's there at the very bottom floor. I think they're doing stuff.
Yeah, and I was excited to see all that too because when they revealed that Wedge was still alive and we saved him and all that, I was like, okay, so now they're going to need to justify why he's still alive, like what his role in the story is going to be. Which I'm not saying we won't see more of him in subsequent parts, but it was cool. So anyway, Mayor Domino basically tells you that you have to get a key card from there's someone on the next floor up that is also an Avalanche plant, and if you say Mayor Domino is the best, then or something like that, he'll give you the key card.
It's like you say Mayor Domino, and if they reply is the best,
oh right,
that's
yeah.
your guy.
It was funny because I saw this tweet earlier this week where Domino's Pizza had tweeted, and they had made a pizza look like Midgar. And they were like, did you know that Midgar is based off of a pizza? Also, the mayor's name is Domino. Haha, or something like that. So that was cool. So you go up to the next floor, which is like the sort of like the employee lounge break floor. And it's got that big tree in the middle. There's a lot of employees like sort of looking out over the city because the walls are like glass and just talking about the wreckage of Sector 7 and how could Avalanche do this and all that. So even the employees don't know what really happened. I like this part because they have like a smooth jazz with vocals music playing here. And I found out later that that's actually supposedly Scarlet's theme, which makes sense. Anyway, you find the guy with the key card. There's also a Shinra simulator on this floor, I believe, which basically is a harder version of the Wall Market Coliseum. I tried a couple of the battles and that was getting my ass kicked, so I just moved on. Did you guys fuck around with that at all?
I just did the one required one.
Yeah.
I did a couple.
Yeah. I'll have to do those eventually to get 100% because I think you have to work your way through all those to fight the secret boss and the Malboro and all that. So anyway, do you guys remember which floor is next after that one?
Not particularly, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I don't think anything else too important happens there, but basically you end up getting to Hojo's lab from the OG. Am I skipping anything between there and all that? I can't remember. So
No, I don't think so.
I'm scrolling through.
Did you already talk about you get up to the roof and then you have to sneak in through the bathroom?
Right. No, I did forget that. So there's a part where you have to like sneak into a grate.
It's in the original too.
Yeah, it's just like the original. Even that scene plays out more or less the same. President Shinra reveals that they're not going to rebuild Sector 7 because of the Neo Midgar plan. And Reeve is pretty upset about that. And I kind of liked the only like significant change here is that Reeve like sort of begs the president, like he tries a lot harder to convince him to not do that. So that was cool. He sort of like chases him out of the room and everything. So then you get to Hojo's lab. You can spot Red 13 in like a cage here, just like the OG, but they don't even really say anything about it. There's not a scene or anything. I saw a meme. It's like a video of a guy like screaming at a cat that's trapped in like behind a door. He's like, "I'm gonna get you out of there." You get up there. You sort of take Hojo hostage and force him to release Aerith. He doesn't do the whole thing where he is going to mate Aerith in Red 13 this time, which I guess is probably a good change.
Was that the plan last time? That it was supposed to be Red 13 and Aerith getting their jig on?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's disturbing.
Really. I don't know if he like planned on actually forcing them to mate or if they just both had to have be in that same like containment chamber and he was going to do some special sciencey stuff to make it happen. But I'm kind of glad they removed that like little element just because it was stupid. So you fight the specimen H01512, who was also a boss in the original. I remember thinking that he was pretty easy. Did you guys have any issues or anything?
I played on easy. I had no issues with anyone.
Yeah. I had a friend who's also playing on easy, and he had to try a few times on the Hell House. So who knows? But eventually you free Aerith and you sort of like escape the lab temporarily, and that's basically where Chapter 16 ends, if I recall correctly.
Correct. That's because Cloud passes out because he sees, I think, a feather fall down, and he starts as like a weird, Advent Children flashback, and passes out. So
is it because he sees Genova? Because that's what made him like freak out in the OG around the same.
No, I think it was the feather. I think it was the feather stuff.
The black feathers. Mm-hmm. What's kind of weird about that is that now that I think about it, that Sephiroth has not sprouted a black wing yet, as far as we know. So Cloud shouldn't have anything associated with that black feather.
True.
Well, when are you sure that like this wasn't because he knew Sephiroth from the whole Nibelheim incident,
right?
So I'm sure maybe he either saw it then, or there was already like a huge, like everybody already knew Sephiroth was the one-winged angel. You know?
Yeah, because you had the other ones too. Because if you think about the Crisis Core, there was other winged things going on, Genesis, Angeal, and all those other ones.
Angeal had a white wing. Did Genesis have a red one? Was that?
It was black.
No, it was black. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you could also say that Cloud did see Genesis several times in Crisis Core. So who knows? Yeah. Anyway, you want to do chapter 17, Rich?
Yeah. So some cool stuff happens here. All right. So chapter 17, Deliverance of Chaos. So you wake up in a small room and you realize that it's actually Aerith's room when she was a kid. So there's a lot of paintings on the walls and they have a little conversation about, what's happening. Who Aerith is. They ask about the ancients. They kind of discover, what's going on, what Shinra is trying to do. And their main goal is to get out of the building, get to the roof, basically to get to the helicopter to get out of there.
Right. And this is kind of like a heartfelt, touching scene because Aerith talks about like how she just wants to save the world and how like when she was a little girl, they used to like drag her mom out of the room and like kind of leave her by herself.
Well, and another thing too, like the Whispers show up and they start doing stuff. They start swirling around Aerith.
Oh yeah,
because I think she's trying to deviate from the path again. And Tifa saves her,
grabs her, and pulls her out, and like, let us help you. It was like a really cool part.
So again, you could see a lot of deviations are starting to happen that the Whispers can't keep out, basically. So
is that so? Why exactly did they stop her? Was it because she was about to talk about like how she knew things she shouldn't know?
Probably. I think so.
I feel like they were asking like, how do you know this or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they pulled her out and they kind of stopped the conversation. So I think that's why they disappeared. But
I've also seen a lot of people say that mural on the wall is supposed to mean something either relevant to the time twisty stuff or the Whispers. But I didn't look that closely at it.
I didn't look at either that closely. I didn't think
it was like, hey, look at the pretty picture. That was my reaction. Well, this part is a little bit different because in the OG, you get captured and end up like in the jail cells. Like Cloud and Tifa's in one cell and Aerith's in her own cell.
But then you wake up and everybody's been murdered.
Right. Which, does that happen here just yet? I'm thinking no.
No.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen at all.
Yeah,
you're right.
Once you leave that area, you're then kind of, let's see, going through some corridors and you get to you get to the lab. You go back to the lab area where Hojo was at and you go basically through the elevator where Cloud passed out.
Mm-hmm. So they basically turned Hojo's lab into like its own chapter dungeon, which
correct
was kind of annoying to me, like another just needless huge dungeon. But
the lab was awesome.
It was kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got that in the center of it is Genova.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Genova had her head, right? And in the remake?
Yeah.
She wasn't supposed to have her head. Sephiroth took it off back in Nibelheim.
I didn't even think about that. I'll have to go back and pay attention to that, or whether or not her head is there.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure in the original one, she doesn't have her head when they see her in here.
Barrett calls her that damn headless spook.
Yeah.
There you go.
But what happens is they get to that area and they see Genova, but Sephiroth's there, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. He's there. Everybody sees him. And Cloud and him have a conversation and Sephiroth cuts the platform and they all fall down.
Right.
So
then you got to make your way out, basically.
Yeah, that's just basically going through and going through a couple of the research places. It's kind of a split between you, Cloud, and Red, and then Tifa and Aerith. And
real quick question on the first half of this. So in the original one, they get caught and get put in jail, and then when they come out, everybody's already dead. But the deviation here, to me, it seems like Cloud faints because he's going after, because of Sephiroth's intervention in this particular scene. He faints, and then Aerith gets them and takes them all back to her room. So they don't actually get caught by Shinra. And so they're able to leave that room earlier than if they were to have been in prison, so that they see Sephiroth before he murders everybody.
Yeah, because is it Palmer? Who's the fat guy?
Yeah.
Is it Palmer? Okay, Palmer sees Sephiroth, and he even tells, like, in that meeting prior to the previous chapter that he's like, I saw Sephiroth here. Why aren't we talking about that? And they're like, you didn't say anything, blah, blah, blah. But so, yeah, they knew he was there.
Well, even in the original, Palmer tells you that he saw Sephiroth. So
yeah, saw a black cloaked figure and things like that. So that's a big deal. So they all fall down. They go through that whole area, basically getting out. Hojo is kind of saying shit.
You have to like send Red 13 across walls to like do dungeony puzzle shit for you.
Yeah, so this has got some puzzles for you guys, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's dumb. So I'm trying to remember what else happened through that area. I don't think that's it.
Hojo kind of sends Cloud and Barrett and Red through like this gauntlet of like test battles. He's like spectating. There's like one part where Red tries to go after him, and the brain pod monsters like freeze Red in midair.
Yeah. Well, doesn't Hojo knows who Cloud is? Like he makes a comment about him. He's like, I know who you are.
Yeah, you're right. After they defeat one of Hojo's things, where Hojo's like collecting experience or like
data.
Yeah, data, because that's the whole point of everything he's doing. Like he wants to collect data from them, and that he has some crazy like that his reunion theory. Like you think it's going to come to fruition or whatever.
Yeah, because
but then he sees Cloud and he's like, I know you. You're not Soldier. And then the whispers come and hijack him away.
Yeah, that was at the end of the previous chapter. That's why everything kind of went nuts. Yeah, I think so.
Right. Because even in the OG, there's one scene where you talk to Hojo and he basically won't tell you what you want to know. And he just like mumbles, go west. Because I guess he's wanting Cloud to go towards the reunion. So,
yeah. So they go through all that, rescuing Red, and you go through all those and take out the unknown entities. I think that's about it for that part of the deal. So then you make your way up to.
There is a boss battle with that flying sword centipede thing. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah, that was
the swordipede.
Oh yeah, swordipede. It was called something else in the original, but it's another one of those where it used to be a random encounter enemy. It's got a promotion.
Yep. That's great. They must have gone through all the monsters and go, you know what? This guy needs a promotion.
This is a cool looking monster. Make him a boss.
Yeah. The monster's like, yay.
I really liked how whenever they finally reunite, it's like Cloud and Barrett on one side, and they're like trying to open the door, and then Aerith or open the pipe thing, and Aerith like presses on it and like almost like crushes them. Kills them. And Aerith is like, oh, hello.
Yeah. Oops. Did you guys like the terminal systems that you're talking through? The names of them?
The PHS.
Yeah. That was a nice little callback.
I don't know. I kind of like switching back and forth, but at the same time, I was like, this is getting a little too puzzly for me.
I did get confused a couple times and had to like double back and shit.
Yeah. So at that point, you leave, but Red tells you, okay, this is it. We're going up to the roof here. So you get to the president's office. I think Sephiroth's there, right?
Not yet.
No, not yet. No. So you get up there and you hear like nobody's there, and you hear a bunch of like noise and stuff. Like, what the hell's that noise? And they go out and you find President Shinra hanging from the railing.
We don't really know how he got there, right?
No, because it's just like, what the hell?
I assumed it was Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Because Sephiroth's the one that kills him in the OG, but you just find him dead at his desk with the massive moon in his back.
This is where Sephiroth is switching things up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Barrett does what Barrett does and pulls him up with one hand. The giant bear. Just I'm like, I got you. I'm gonna throw you. And they had this whole conversation about what's
for
going
his
on.
life, like trying to blackmail him and all that.
Which is weird though.
Not because bargain.
Yeah, which is weird though, because the whole time they're letting him back his way to his desk. In my mind, I'm like, he's probably got a gun in that desk.
I was pissed off. I was like, what are you doing, Barrett? He is going to turn the tables on you.
Yeah. So he does that and ends up happening. I think, doesn't Shinra kill him? Or not Shinra, doesn't Sephiroth kill him?
Sephiroth like shows up last minute, kills the president, and then kills Barrett.
Yeah, like stabs Barrett. I freaked out at that, by the way. Because he stabs Barrett, and I was like, no.
I was like, what is happening right now? This is.
I was like, we don't like this. Go back.
I was like, this is stupid. It's like, there's no way he's actually dead.
Well, and then like all of a sudden, Sephiroth shows up with a Genova piece and ends up doing Dreamweaver. the Genova Dreamweaver. So you have that boss. Isn't this the boss though that you would fight in the cargo ship in OG version?
It was called Genova Birth the first time you fight Genova, but it's way later. So I don't know if they're still going to have another Genova fight there, if they just wanted to bring a Genova fight in earlier in the story or what.
Because it looks like it though.
Yeah, it does.
How'd you guys feel about that?
So did you skip over where the whispers like jump all up in Barrett and bring him back to?
I haven't got there yet. Yes,
okay.
that does happen. You see a whisper like fall into Barrett, but that's it.
Okay,
that's all you see. So and then the fight shows up. And what did you guys think of this fight?
I thought it was good. It was a good mix of like difficult, but also entertaining. Although I did have several times where I used my limit break right before some sort of cutscene or transition.
Every time without fail.
Made me so mad.
Mm-hmm. That happened. It feels like that happens 2 or 3 times every boss battle for me.
Nice.
But yeah, I liked the fight too, all the tentacle stuff, and of course you got the awesome remix of the Genova music. So
it's pretty nice. Yeah. So once you finish that, you kill her, and everything goes back to normal. And Barrett wakes up, which is pretty nice. You're like, holy crap! Thank God he's not dead, because I really don't know what they would do if they actually killed him off in this part.
The thought did cross my mind, like, what if they're killing Barrett instead of Aerith?
No. I'm pretty sure they have a riot on their hands at that point.
You just see the white materia fall out of his jacket pocket. I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Aerith's theme.
Yep.
The bromance. This is why.
It's gone. So everybody leaves outside after Barrett's alive and everything. You go out there and you're hearing the helicopter come in from Avalanche. Well, it gets knocked out of the sky. Who else is there? It's the Turks blowing the helicopter out of the sky and drops off Rufus.
I thought Cloud chases after Sephiroth because he sees him walk out, and you you climb up the stairs.
Oh yeah,
and then you see Sephiroth turn into that guy, like was
he the guy from the slums?
Yeah, the guy from the slums. You see Sephiroth climb up there, holding Genova. He turns back into the guy from the slums, and then he just falls.
Yeah, so I think that confirms they've switched it to where the Sephiroth clones are now. How Sephiroth is, doing
his thing.
Yeah,
as opposed to just Genova's weird dead body.
So that's probably I think that's more consistent than what the Genova body parts are doing and whatever in the original one.
That makes more sense anyway.
Because I guess in the flashbacks, you did see a bunch of these cloaked figures walking towards the reunion in those hallucinations he had earlier.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably a lot of those things running around. So yeah, you do that. And of course you see more whispers start showing up, but then the helicopter's there. Yeah. They're not very happy. So they show up with the helicopter, gets knocked out of the sky by Rufus's crew, which is Rude and Reno. And you fight Rufus. Now, I had a little bit of trouble with this guy at first.
He's good, man. Like this entire battle is really good. Like it's battles like this that make me realize that Cloud is just a dork. He is not that good at fighting because the way he moves compared to the way Rufus moves and the way Rufus can like fluidly dodge the moves, I'm just like, oh God, Cloud sucks.
Yep.
If he didn't have plot armor, he'd be dead.
I've always thought that Crisis Core sort of shows Cloud as kind of a weakling. So he's already, like at the beginning of the game, way stronger than he theoretically should be. I think it's all about confidence. If you believe you can do it.
That's honestly probably it, really. It is totally about confidence.
I had to look up
it was rough.
A strategy on Rufus because the only way to stagger him is at a certain point in one of his animations to do a braver on him. Like even the enemy intel says staggered by using a certain attack, and that's all it says.
I had to constantly just be dodging him like a maniac. I had to constantly just be moving.
What do you guys think about the way Rufus looks, like his new design?
Too many belts.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to go out on the runway. I mean, he's hot as fuck, but
I didn't notice anything. I thought he was cool.
Well, yeah, he does look good and everything.
The belts. Final Fantasy is all about the belts.
His original design wasn't this outlandish.
He's wearing a suit.
Yeah.
Hey, the more belts you have, the more guns you can hide under them.
I
the
guess.
More
I
guns
mean,
you can slide.
It looks like looks like Lulu a little bit. Lulu's outfit, but white from 10.
What if Lulu just had like 20 Uzis under there?
So
now we know.
mean, he looks cool. Like I don't get me wrong, but it's just I would actually preferred him more in a suit like he originally was. Like he's this to me, it just looks a little over the top. But
What do you think of his doggo?
Oh yeah,
Dog was rough. Cool. Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, it was pretty good. So once you finish all that, you take off. You beat Rufus, but he just leaves. Rufus leaves like, all right, I'm done. Whatever.
He does the insanely unrealistic thing that he did in even the first one, where he just grabs one-handed by his helicopter railing and flies
good
off.
Grip, good grip, strong grip.
Maybe he got it from the president. He was able. We also saw had pretty good grip a minute ago,
holding himself on for God knows how long.
Right.
So you're. This is where everybody splits off again. Tifa is waiting for Cloud, and Aerith and Barrett takes off. And I can't remember, was Red with them?
Yes.
Yeah, it was just Cloud that stayed by himself.
Okay, so this is where typically in the OG version you have everybody split off, and this is where you go down the elevator shaft and you fight the robot helicopter thing, right?
You fight the arsenal, which then turns into the robot helicopter.
Yeah,
but
they changed this up. Yeah, they changed it up now. You've got Aerith fighting. Aerith and Barrett fighting that Arsenal guy in the like the lobby.
That is the battle that messed me up. It took me forever to do that battle.
It was rough.
It also took Corey a long time. I didn't do this battle, but he was getting really frustrated with it.
Yeah. It took forever. I feel like I was barely doing any damage. And then you just had to hide behind crap all the time. He was just constantly destroying you.
And
I really liked... Go for it.
You can target the wheels, but that's like pretty much useless. So
yeah, you do like 0.2 damage every bullet.
I got really lucky with Aerith's Ray of Judgment. The thing she shoots out of her with that.
That's a really cool ability.
Oh yeah. So I was able to hit the wheels and stuff using that. It's basically just a straight line at it. So it's pretty good. And Barrett, I had maxed out Thunder. So I had Thundaga and just blasting the crap out of him.
I just started blasting.
Yeah, that's all I did. And I kept hiding behind stuff. So that's basically what it was, is you hit him a bunch of times and go behind a pillar. Hit him a bunch of times, go behind a pillar. And then eventually you got staggered. And
didn't he have an insta-kill move too?
Yeah, you got to be careful with that one. I can't remember what it was, but
it was some big old beam.
Yeah. But then I was able to do limit breaks using Barrett's catastrophe stuff. So that's pretty nice. I think that once you fight that and beat him and you go downstairs, that's the end of the chapter, isn't it?
Well, this is where they make their vehicular escape.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not quite the end.
Okay. I actually really liked that. It showed where everybody was running down the stairs and they were going out the building, and Heidegger shows up and basically is like, kill them all, but leave the girl.
I love the fact that they kind of kept in the like, who are you? And Barrett's like, I'm Avalanche. and then Aerith's like, a flower girl. And then Red's like, a rablat dog, a lab rat dog.
Yeah, originally that was in a speech to, or when Rufus asks who they are, but they've just moved it, and it's like it's lame even in the OG.
Yeah, so let's talk about how Cloud can maneuver. Like everybody shows up, and Cloud shows up with a motorcycle. How like crazy he is with that motorcycle.
I have a hard time believing Cloud is this skilled. Because I doubt Zach could even do that. Come on.
Here's what pissed me off about this part. He like takes out the whole squad of the soldiers with his, motorbike flip and just grazes Heidegger's face, but just barely misses his Heidegger. I'm like, come on, man. Couldn't you have taken out the main one?
Yeah, that guy.
And I have a hard time believing that all these soldiers would also continue to miss him. I mean, It's not that hard. You don't shoot whenever a target is moving. You don't shoot at the target. You shoot where the target will be. That is common sense.
They went to the stormtrooper school.
I was going to say, probably that's what happened. So these guys are just getting their asses kicked. Now, I do want to ask, though, while this is going on, are there any other soldiers go around? Because you've got Roche. He's a soldier, 3rd class, but where are the other ones at?
You fight some of the. You don't see any of the first class, but you fight some like third class soldiers as just
okay.
enemies.
I'm just curious. So we didn't talk about this in the previous chapter with you, Jay. I wanted to bring this up. Was do you guys remember? You guys played Crisis Core, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Okay.
it has been. I was 12 maybe when I played it.
Okay,
11.
So when you were the very beginning in the soldier building, you have a confidant called is it Kunzel?
Yeah.
Kunzel?
Oh yeah, same dude.
You run across him.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
I forgot about that actually.
And he was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Cloud,
he's
let me
like,
go get this
Cloud.
other guy."
Yeah.
So I thought that was
And
cool.
Cloud's like, we need to get out of here. Let's go.
Yeah. So it made me wonder, like, does Cloud start to remember that he's not technically soldier, or it's
That dude
I
would have
don't-
remembered.
yeah. So maybe he
probably been like,
knows.
Cloud, what the heck? What's going on with your eyes, man? You disappeared for 4 years.
Yeah, because I thought it was kind of weird that maybe Kunzel knew who Cloud was because Zach talked about him because they were friends. So
Well, he might have just gone through training with him too. So who knows?
yeah, that's true. But I wanted to bring that up. So once you leave, this is where you take off in the fun mini bike game.
And
So
that's
I
after
think it's
18
also-
steps.
I think it's
Yeah.
important to know that this is also where like you really start to see the whispers take over the city.
Yeah.
Do you guys know if this is where you see the very first scene of Zach in the past? Because at one point you just see him where he's looking at Midgar and he's like, "Oh man," he says something like, "Man, what's going on there?" And then he turns around and sees it's the same scene as Crisis Core where you see everybody, like all the Shinra people lined up. And if this is
Price of
not the
freedom
right
sure is steep.
if this is not the right area, I'm going to talk about it anyway. But yeah, he says the price of freedom is steep. But this time when he says it, he sounds so confident. But back in Crisis Core or like the original timeline, whenever he says it, it's a lot more solemn and like he's accepted his fate to
Yeah.
die. You know, I don't know. I just thought that was the way he delivers that line is completely different.
Yeah.
And
I was wondering, like, what is happening? Why are they showing us this scene now? How is this
Yeah.
relevant?
mhm. And he also
Crazy.
says it with like a smile on his face. The price of freedom is steep, but the original scene, he does not look so happy.
Oh, dude, I hope we get a remix at some point of the song that plays during that battle in Crisis Core, because that song is awesome.
I
Yeah.
don't remember it.
It's called
It's
Price of
pretty
Freedom. Look it up later.
I've heard it's steep. Well, anyway, so this is where they bust down and we get the mini bike game. So this was a really popular part in the original Final Fantasy VII, and it's probably the best mini game in Final Fantasy VII. And it's a lot longer this time, but you're going down the road, hitting stuff, and you have to fight the big boss. And you have to like target his wheels and whatnot. I do think you actually get a decent length, and then they stop the car and they're like, "Oh man, what do we do now? What happened?" And you also see that Wedge is like sucked out of the Shinra building by the whispers, and you don't really know what's going on.
I think he's dead.
I don't think so. I don't think
I
they
think he's
would,
dead.
I don't think they would kill him so unceremoniously like that.
No. Well, anyway, so then they see that Shinra has sent the big, what's it called again? What's the name of the big old
Motorball?
Nope.
dildo
Yes.
bot?
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's still called that, but it was the Motorball in the OG.
Yeah, you fight that thing. You have to like take out its wing or its wheels, and then you're able to damage the core. Not too difficult of a boss battle. It wasn't the most fun. I did not have a lot of fun doing this. How about you guys?
I did fine with it. It was a pain in the ass. I think I died once, but once I figured it out, it was a pain in the ass.
Corey gave up. He couldn't beat the Motorball on the highway, and so I
I
had
see a theme here.
yeah, so I had to take over, and I didn't really have too much trouble with it. I was like, that wasn't that hard. Of course, a lot of times when I end up beating things that he couldn't, it's because I watched him fail and saw what he was doing wrong, and then I could just go in and know what to do.
Or you're just better. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, though, this little motorbike thing, it did start to stretch my disbelief just because I'm like, okay, I know Midgar's big, but it shouldn't have this much highway.
Yeah, it was pretty long. It was a really long battle. But yeah, once you actually do that and you get to the end of the highway, like this, that's usually where the game, like the original games, like that's where this section of the game ends. Like it's the end of Midgar. This is where they decide to go off and figure out where Sephiroth is.
Right.
But instead, there's some conversation that I just can't for the life of me remember. And then you actually see the whispers like start to freak out, and I think Sephiroth like shows up and talks to Cloud a little bit, and basically makes the implication that like this is your chance to change fate. Like I think he has one line where he says that fate is what allowed the destruction of your planet. So like why are you still following it? And do you guys remember anything specific out of the conversation that happens here?
You pretty much covered it. The points.
I was going to say, I don't think he gets too crazy, but it's kind of an eye opener of what's happening. It's like, okay, why this is new.
Yeah, and so there's this big whisper cloud, and Sephiroth kind of disappears into it. And there's a really good moment with Aerith where she is basically saying that that Shinra is bad and all, but Sephiroth is the true evil. Like Sephiroth is destroying the planet and wants to destroy the planet, and that he has to be stopped no matter what. And this is another area where it just seems like Aerith knows entirely more than she should know, because it's like she knows Sephiroth way better than everybody else, the way that she's talking about him.
Right. When I played through it the first time, I just assumed it was, her Cetra sense as being like, this guy bad. But
yeah.
She makes a speech here about like how there's no turning back, and if they go in there and try to change fate, there's no guarantee that things will be the same.
Yeah, she says something like it's not just changing fate, it's changing us.
Right.
She says like every time something happens, I feel myself changing. So I don't know. It's all definitely a hint that things are changing. Like these aren't the same characters that we had in the original game, and that Aerith somehow knows more than she's supposed to know. So after a while, you're able to go and like stock up on items and junk, save your game in case you get your butt kicked. But then you go on to inside of the what? Do you remember what the area is called?
I don't. It's probably like some kind of stupid name, like Crossroads of Fate or something like that.
Yeah, some crazy JRPG name. But within this area, you have to fight the Whisper Harbinger, or the Harbinger of Fate, and there are 3 specific Harbingers. One that fights with a sword, one that fights with fists, and one that fights with a gun. And then there's a big daddy fate, which every time you destroy one of the smaller fates, you're able to go and do damage to that. And this is a really fun battle because I would not be able to write a walkthrough about this battle because I don't necessarily know what I did. I just kind of button mashed until I got myself through it. But basically, you get to a point to where you can take out one of the whispers, and it does like damage to the main daddy whisperer.
It's a Whisper Bahamut. It's like a whisper version of Bahamut.
Yeah. And so the party actually gets separated because inside of this big old whisper cloud dimension area, everything's just like torn apart and separated.
You're like jumping between like broken sections of road in the air, and it's like really crazy and epic. Yeah.
At some point, Barrett and I think maybe Red 13,
they split off.
They split off and go, and every time you stagger the main big whisper, Barrett does like a big old, his big explosion thingy. Did you guys like do the enemy scan on the 3 harbingers, smaller harbingers?
Yes.
I think I did.
I was trying to scan everything, but I missed a few.
So these ones say that they are entities from the future that are basically trying to preserve the future. So the fact that they fight with a sword, fists, and then a gun, Like it kind of gives the implication that these are like future entities representing the future Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. I don't know. I think that's a pretty interesting theory.
There's also a theory
necessarily...
that it's the remnants from Advent Children, Kadaj, Yazu, and Laz. I don't know if that's true or not, or what they're really supposed to represent, but apparently they use the same weapons and all that.
That would be interesting, yeah. But who knows what it's supposed to represent? I personally don't think it's like actually Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett from the future. I think it's just like the representation of that future that's battling to maintain stability.
Yeah.
Eventually you do kind of like defeat these main whispers, and then Sephiroth shows up. So I'm a little confused here because at first I thought that this was just Sephiroth as a Sephiroth clone, but now I'm thinking that it is Sephiroth as created by the whispers, because he it's basically like all the whisper energy and smoke or whatever like creates the Sephiroth.
Yeah,
so
and it's been confirmed there's like 4 different versions of Sephiroth at play in this remake.
Yeah, so I think that this is Sephiroth trying, like the whispers that looking like Sephiroth trying to stop them from changing the future.
Mm-hmm. Before we get to that battle, did you guys have any trouble with the whisper final boss thing?
Nope.
There was one part that I died twice on, and it was like far into the battle. It really pissed me off because it's a fucking long battle. There's like 5 phases to it, and if you die in like phase 4, you start all over. So
yep, I thought it was a really good looking battle.
Oh yeah, it's crazy as fuck.
Yeah, so you have a really fun Sephiroth battle, and you battle Sephiroth twice, right? Once with all the cast, and then once with just Cloud.
I think so. Yeah,
I think that's right.
Yeah. So you battle Sephiroth here, and then once you defeat him, there's like a second time you battle Sephiroth, and I think that this time it's the actual Sephiroth.
Yeah,
maybe it's
or like in Cloud's head at least.
Yeah, I found this battle to be actually easier than the whispers.
Yeah, it was. I don't think these Sephiroth battles were supposed to be hard.
You get the awesome new remix of One Winged Angel.
Oh, it's so good.
I was thinking during this, I was like, wow, they're really blowing their load here. Like, how are they going to top this, when the actual final boss time? Who knows? Maybe Sephi won't even be the final boss.
It's going to be... It's
going to be a boss swap.
I hope it. It better not be a boss swap. I want Sephiroth to stay. But I think they could totally do like a super metal version of One Winged Angel for the last battle.
That'd be cool. The part where you go into Cloud's head to fight Sephi again, I thought that was really...
That's my theory, at least, that it's inside of Cloud's psyche.
Well, the thing is, when you're going inside of it, it shows that same like weird white tunnel transition that happens right before you fight Sephiroth the last time in the OG. Like the same animation and everything. So I think you're right. It has to be Cloud's psyche. But when I saw that, I was like, what are they doing? Is this supposed to be like a glimpse of the original ending? Or...
So you fight Sephiroth again, and after you finish the battle, you just see that like Cloud's no match for Sephiroth. Really, Sephiroth's just toying with him,
right?
And he basically gives Cloud some speeches about like, join me, Cloud. We can change things. We can defy fate and change the future. And Cloud's like, no, I'm not gonna join you, but I am gonna change the future. And then Sephiroth gives Cloud a actually, first he says that they're at the edge of creation. I don't know what that means.
Maybe the creation of a new timeline.
I felt like that was a little cryptic. And then he says, basically tells Cloud that he has 7 seconds left, or 7 seconds, something about 7 seconds.
There's lots of theories about what he means by 7 seconds. Like I don't really get it either. But
my favorite one is that is the scene where Aerith is killed in the original one, from where you first see Sephiroth to where he completely like stabs her and kills her, is 7 seconds. So
that'd be interesting.
I think this is him saying, I think he says something along the lines of, you have 7 seconds, what will you do with it? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking it's like a hint, like, oh, hey, like you're going to have 7 seconds to stop me from killing this girl. Are you going to actually do something this time?
That would be cool, as if after he kills Aerith, he said, you wasted your 7 seconds, Cloud, or something like that.
Yeah.
or again, like he said through the entire game, is like you failed. You failed
Yeah.
again.
Like this entire time, he's just saying, "Cloud, you're failing again. I've already seen it happen one time, and you're not doing a good job."
Yeah.
But then I don't remember exactly how this comes to a resolution. Like, how do we go from the edge of creation scene back to everything that's normal, like the regular?
I don't remember exactly either, but isn't it just like a flash and all of a sudden you're back?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
But yeah, there's like a flash and they're back and everything's like total chaos.
But the whispers are gone now.
Yeah, the whispers are completely gone. And when does it? I think there are some conversations around how like things are changing. At what point does it? I can't remember what happens between the end of that Sephiroth scene and then the beginning of like the final cutscene.
Well, I think this is where Aerith talks about, this is it. We have our chance now to change the future. It's not set in stone. We can go do what we need to and face off against Sephiroth, the real enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Also where
they do agree to chase after Sephiroth.
Yeah. But this is also where all the changes have happened. You've got Aerith and all them leaving this area, but then you also see Zack.
Yeah, you're right. So so first I think you see don't you see like that Biggs is alive, or is that
there's like a montage
credits?
of like what's going on of everything in the Midgar, like the Sector 7 slums being rebuilt. They show Seventh Heaven being like reconstructed by Marl and the residents.
They show that Biggs is like just laying in bed all bandaged and Jesse's glove is next to him.
I was
super excited about that.
I was so confused at that part, but I was like, okay, we doing this.
Yep. But then also at the same time, it cuts over and one thing we forgot to mention at the first Zack cutscene is that you see a bag or like a flyer go around the front of the camera. And you see the like the mascot, that dog mascot, and it's a completely different dog breed than what we're normally seeing. So that's like a little hint at that the continuity is a little messed up here.
It's like a schnauzer instead of a beagle or something.
Yep.
Yeah. So at the end of the game, the last cutscene, we see that Zack was successful in his battle against Shinra, whereas in Crisis Core, whenever you cut back to this scene, Zack's on the ground, like, and it's raining and he's dying and blah 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 blah.
He's a little surprised. He's like, "Really? That's it?"
Yeah. Yep. So, my assumption is that somehow because the whispers going crazy in the main timeline was bleeding over into the past timeline that Zack's continuity is in.
Some 13-2 shit going on here.
Right. And I think at one point there is like that explosion that is kind of felt throughout all the timelines and stuff whenever the whispers are defeated. And I think somehow it butterfly effect, like something small changed and it caused Zack to have just enough of an edge to beat all of the Shinra soldiers. And so he grabs Cloud and starts walking towards Midgar, and he's like, "It's okay, Cloud, we're almost there." But at that same time, you see our main characters walking in the opposite direction, like Cloud and Zack are walking towards Midgar, and our characters are walking away.
Yeah, they're supposed to be, they're on like the cliff where Zack was supposed to originally die.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you kind of see them cross paths, but they're transparent because it's the implication that it's still a different timeline. And
it makes it seem like Aerith can feel Zack's presence.
Oh yeah, she did.
She looked back, and then she like looks up at the sky, and the last line is that she misses the steel sky.
Yeah, because that was a thing in Crisis Core that she was afraid of the open sky.
Yep. And
So
then it plays the awesome plays the awesome theme song, and then says, "And the what is it? What exactly does it say? The unknown journey continues."
Yeah, something like that.
And then Finn.
Yep.
That's it. The end. You get some credits with videos and awesome remixes and shit, and you're done.
So what do you guys think?
Holy crap.
You go first, Scott.
Okay, so I would prefer if things just stuck to how things played out in the original, but obviously that's not what is happening here. I am open to the idea of there being some major changes. At this point, I'm just buckled in and like, all right, what you got for me?
Yep.
I was at first I didn't completely understand like what was going on with all the timeline shit, but then after talking to you guys, I sort of like it's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's totally timeline fuckery going on all throughout the game. So I mean, that's what they're doing for us, and I don't get a say in the matter. So as long as the game stays fun and the story stays interesting, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's really weird. They did this in such a way that the original Final Fantasy VII is still like a canon story. Like it actually happened.
Right.
And so it seems like the way that they are positioning this compilation is that we have, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, and then somehow Sephiroth and Aerith within the live stream were able to go back in the past and start to screw things up. Sephiroth being like knowing that his fate was garbage, and that he, in Advent Children, he says that he will never be just a memory. So I think he somehow was able to transcend time via the live stream, and either his consciousness joins or like takes over the past versions of himself, or there's some sort of or the future Sephiroth and the future Aerith were able to give information to the whatever our timeline one is. I'm kind of on the side of just the consciousness from the future, but
it's interesting because sorry, Rich.
No, you're good.
In the Ultimania interviews, I told you guys this, but like Katase said that he doesn't want people to be worried that they are not going to get the original FF7 story. Like there's not going to be, huge, catastrophic changes or anything. But then like Nomura is like, oh, and Zack might still be alive. It's like that those two statements do not go together.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking with this here, they could have Zack show up in certain parts, like, with this new timeline that's going on and the new story that they're doing. Maybe Zack is just hanging back until they get certain spots where he'll show up and do something and then take off or whatever.
My theory is that Zack is, since he's so popular, he's like the number one most popular male Final Fantasy character in Japan. They were like, okay, how can we get Zack more involved in the story for this remake?
So my theory is that Zack's storyline is going to be kind of off by itself, but is going to have effects on the main character storyline. Like I feel like Zack's timeline is going to be responsible for making sure that when the main cast defeats Sephiroth, that he stays defeated. Like whatever means allowed Sephiroth to transcend time, like that's going to be Zack's responsibility for stopping. And then somehow everything's going to normalize and Zack and Aerith are going to die and end up in the live stream. And then we're going to see the world kind of the post-Sephiroth world not be destroyed by, the Genova cells ending up in the live stream and blah, 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 blah. Because I feel like that's what Dirge of Cerberus and Advent Children kind of press the point that the world is not okay, even though they defeated Sephiroth. Like things aren't okay yet. The world isn't saved.
Right. So what did you overall feel about how it all wraps up, Rich?
I really enjoyed it. I went into this game right off the bat knowing that this is going to be different. It's going to have the same points of the story with 7 OG that It's going to do a little bit of deviations. I was a little concerned about these whispers because, like, okay, what the hell is this stuff? But then once me and Jay talked, a few points were like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I like that. Let's keep going with this. I'm really curious how they're going to incorporate some of the Crisis Core stuff and Before Crisis, because that's the one thing that bothered me about going back to, the OG version, and then they released Before Crisis and then Crisis Core. I'm like, okay, these things don't really match up now.
Yeah, that
this is their opportunity to go in and actually make things match. I was looking forward to seeing things about Loveless, Genesis, and Angeal, and more things that were connected to that. So I'm hoping that we get to see some of that in part 2. Because I just liked Angeal. I thought he was a good character.
It'll be interesting because, as you guys know, the Nibelheim flashback should be how part 2 begins, more or less. And from Crisis Core, we know that Genesis was part of what made Sephiroth go insane.
Yeah.
And we know that Cloud knows Genesis was there. So it'll be interesting if we get any kind of hint at all as to him.
I mean, we know the technical issues with that because Genesis, they did something stupid and decided, let's model Genesis after this famous rock star in Japan. And now they can't do that. So they need to go back and fix him. That should be a lesson to a lot of gaming companies is don't use likeness rights of a person. Just make your own. Yeah. But whatever. So, yep. So you go through that and then hopefully those things start connecting better. With this compilation, consider this is supposed to be the final part of the 7 compilation.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I enjoyed it. I was very drawn into it from the very beginning.
Cool.
Get those butterflies.
So how did we feel overall about the story in general?
We're supposed to give it a rating, right? So.
We'll wait till the next part to give it an official rating, but we can go ahead and talk about our feelings about it.
In general, I am very excited. I was able to go into this expecting it to be more of a sequel or a continuation as opposed to a remake. So being able to experience everything that's happening with a little more insider information, I think helped me enjoy it a lot more versus me trying to make sense of stuff while it was happening. I also feel like I was able to notice more hints or more abstract scenes, which, I don't know, kind of pumped up my excitement.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I love complex, crazy storylines. Like I'm as
Kingdom
convoluted
Hearts.
as it is, I love Kingdom Hearts. Whenever I am getting involved in a story, I would much rather it be overly complex and cause me to really be interested and have to dive in to understand what's happening, as opposed to like a vanilla point A, point B, and there's one bad guy kind of story. I just like complexity.
You guys know that meme where it's Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia in front of like the court board with all the red strings connected?
Yes.
That's me trying to figure out what's going to happen.
And what will happen is they're going to incorporate Kingdom Hearts into this somehow.
I hope they don't do that. I hope they stay in their lanes.
No more cinematic universe.
Oh, man.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, I am really excited. And I'm also really excited that this isn't retconning anything. Like spiritually, this is not changing anything that's already happened. It's building on top of it. So all of the content that they've released in the past about Final Fantasy VII is still valid canon. So we can still go back and play it and it be like something that actually happened within the universe.
I guess the only thing with that for me is, FF7 is the original is no longer a pretty game. I wouldn't call it accessible to people who need those good graphics to be able to sort of suck themselves into that world. So that's sort of like why I would have preferred to have just a straight remake. But it is cool that original story is still canon, like you said. What about your overall thoughts, Rich?
Well, I'll kind of mirror what Jay said there. Like, I went into this whole thing not expecting it to be a 1-for-1 remake. I mean, I stayed away from spoilers and interviews and things like that. The only that caught my attention was definitely from all those other people saying like, hey, this is not a remake in a sense. This is strictly going to be your continuation. So I went through that expecting it and not having too much faith in the fact that it's going to be 1-for-1. I knew there's going to be changes. Like there always will be changes with remakes.
Yeah.
So
for me, like I said, I would have preferred a straight remake, but like the story overall was still fantastic. Just separating it from the OG. It's a great retelling. All the characters have been expanded and reimagined in like such a way that makes them somehow even more awesome than they originally were.
Yeah.
Even a lot of the side characters are memorable, like the Madame M and Andrea Rodea and all that.
Speaking of Madame M, did you guys know that she was the voice of that person was Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers?
Yeah, I did learn that later.
Oh my god,
It
my
looks
mind
just
was
like
blown.
her too. It looks like her, man.
After 10,000 years, she's free. Time to conquer Walmart.
It blew my mind. But I really hope with the next part of the game, or maybe the third part, or how many ever parts we get of this game, they expand on some of the future stuff with Advent Children, and there should be hints of Geostigma. There should be hints of Kadaj, Yazoo, and Lars, all them.
One thing that that I'm skeptical about is the whole Geostigma thing, because Geostigma was caused by Genova cells existing in the life stream. So if when they defeat Sephiroth, if he doesn't like go and join the life stream, which I think is however the way that they are going to defeat him, like he can't go back and just join in with a life stream. I think Geostigma will just not be a thing. I think
they'll write that out basically.
Yeah, I think my hope is that Advent Children was just a way of pointing out that Sephiroth can't just be killed and allowed to go to the life stream. Like there's no stopping him, because once you're like, just because you're in the life stream, you're not dead. You're just in the life stream. Like your spirit or your energy is not gone. And Sephiroth is a powerful and influential enough being that if he's just allowed to keep returning to the life stream, you aren't truly defeating him.
What if you blast him off in space?
Yeah, you got to blast him off in space. Send him to a different planet where he can go get his own life stream.
There you go.
Well, that's what he wanted in Advent Children. Yeah. He said he wanted,
but he wanted to use the planet as his ship,
right? So, what do you guys think? Do you think that we still have enough that we could talk about with all these theories and stuff to do an aftercast on it?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
All right. So, if you want to hear more of our crazy theories and speculation on what happened and what's to come, then there will be a Patreon aftercast. So look forward to that. We might put it out to the main feed eventually. We'll see. Any other comments on the stories before we wrap this part up?
No, there's a lot of other random things that I want to talk about in the aftercast of like the Honeybee Inn and some of the other side characters that you meet. Yeah. But, that'll be something I want to save for those because it's some funny stuff.
Okay. Well, cool then. Let's move on.
Was it all a dream? Well, I never know. Foolish and blind to everything. Had I realized, had I thought it through, would you be here in my embrace? Shine bright once more, guide me to you. Smile bright once more. This time I will never let you go.
Okay, so next week we will be finishing the Final Fantasy VII Remake review. We're going to be talking about everything that's not the story. Graphics, music, gameplay. I imagine the gameplay will be the bulk of that discussion. There'll be plenty to say about that. I know it was a 4-part review, but like I said before, we are all like huge fans of FF7, and just there's a lot to unpack in this story. And so we were able to easily make 3 episodes out of that.
I'm kind of surprised how much they were able to slam into this, you know?
I laughed because I was like listening back to part 1 or the party planning for part 1. And I remember you saying, I think we might be able to get through the whole thing.
We all was like, no.
Yeah.
We were not able to.
Something else that's interesting. Bill tells me that, next week will be episode 100 of this podcast. If you count, the After Years episodes with the Golden Years episodes.
Golden years.
I can't believe I've been doing this for that long.
Yeah, right. So we might plan something like a little special segment for next week. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but we'll brainstorm something. So yeah, look forward to that next week, episode 16/100.
And don't forget about the material lockdown, everybody. All of the proceeds and donations for the material lockdown go to the
Website, materiallockdown.com.
What's it for? What's the
muscle
cause for?
dystrophy?
Motor Neuron Disease Association.
Motor Neuron Disease Association.
Me and Jay are terrible at this.
That is a hard thing to remember. Good job, Scott. All the proceeds and donations go to the Motor Neuron Association Foundation. That, I don't know, it's about studying and that particular disease. It's very close to Bill. So go to that. It's for a good cause, materiallockdown.com, and it's pretty fun to do. And as we've all said, Final Fantasy VII Classic is still relevant because the story is a prequel to the remake.
All the people that are pissed about the timeline changes and all that, you can just go play that and be happy again.
That's right. It's still there. So a couple plugs we have. You can rate and review us on any of your podcasting places such as Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, wherever you want to get that. Review us, give us a 5-star. We'd really appreciate that.
It's the best way to get more people to know about our show.
Yes.
Speaking of people, you can join our Discord. The link is in the description. We talk about all things RPGs and sometimes not RPGs. We do crazy shit like Rich reveals he started another Final Fantasy that's way down the list, and then everybody freaks out.
Yes, I have power.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, just go join us there and hang out. We kick it and have fun and do party tricks.
Yep.
Also, do not forget our awesome Patreon. If you decide to give us some monies, you can get early episode access, ad-free episodes. You can participate in live video versions. We actually have this out on a private YouTube link that you can join in and comment on and harass us if you'd like. You can also get access to the Aftercast and extra reviews and quite a few more benefits. And that is RPG After Years on Patreon.
Yeah, patreon.com/RPG After Years. And if you would like, you can also email your feedback and questions and anything you would like us to talk about to our email address, which is rpgafteryears@gmail.com. Another way to reach us, and perhaps the best way, because I and Rich and Corey and Bill are fairly active on Twitter, and Jay gets on there once every month or so.
I get triggered too easily.
Yeah.
I can't do social media.
But you can find the main show account at RPG Years, and you can find me at the Scott Spot.
And me at HaleBlue1569.
And me at JAY Hizzle.
And if you want to contact Bill, you can find him at Matunica with 2 N's. Okay, that's it for this time. That was part 3 of the review. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you next week for episode 16, the final part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake review, and the 100th episode of the podcast overall. Until then, I'm Scott.
I'm Jay.
And I am Richie Rich.
We'll see you next time for more of the RPG After Years. Bye.
Bye.